Now, these are rules against filth creators. The filth creators defined as those people for whom vulgarity and perversion has become a business model. And I support the action against the filth creators. And the MIB has released a guideline. I want to start with Jay Ananta Dehadrai and Advocate Tanushri Bhalla. Joining on the other side, those who are against dirt speech is Prabloch Singh, well-known human rights activist, and Ranjana Kumari, renowned social activist. Jay, I want to start with you on this. You see, the MIB has been forced to release these guidelines, but it was coming, even if the Ranveer Alabadia episode had not happened. You know, it is a first step towards removing the filth, isn't it?
Good evening, Arnab.
Good evening.
Well, yes. You know, the rules have already been in place since the year 2021. And this is delegated legislation that is pertinent to the IT. So it's always been on the books. And, these rules will regulate what the intermediaries do, and they're supposed to regulate, of course, what content is put out. But very respectfully, Arnab, I disagree that these rules have any teeth in them. To use, if the government has said that there is a prohibition, I disagree with that view, really, because if you really ask me, the test for obscenity can be found under section 294 of the PNS. And if you would kindly look at that for a moment, and if you just humor me for a moment, there is a very specific test that is prescribed there. So let's say some content or something is spoken that, you and I consider obscene. There is a subjective test. It has to appeal to prurient interests.
No, for example, the kind of content, I know the technical, but for the kind of content that Ekta Kapoor produces under this Alt Balaji platform, that is obscenity, that is semi-pornography.
100%.
So she has to be stopped, then that this applies, then Alt Balaji can't put out the pornography anymore.
Well, yes, she has to be stopped, but in terms of the rules, again, and there is
But this has been the question, the thing is, Ranveer Alabadia runs a small corporation, Samir Raina runs a small corporation, but Ekta Kapoor runs a huge corporation that essentially is funded by the support of all the people watching the semi-pornographic stuff.
If I may just say one thing, the snippets of what I have seen in terms of what Ekta Kapoor has put out.
Yes.
That 100%, it's very vulgar. I mean, it borders on pornography, but you know what? If some people want to watch it, they can watch it. But the point is that we need some sort of barriers in place where, say, younger, impressionable minds cannot watch that sort of content.
No, this is not free speech. I mean, it's the lowest end of the spectrum. I feel so sad when these people take the cover of being journalists and they're not journalists.
But with great respect, I mean, if, you may not like it, I may not like it, we may not want our families to watch it, but at the same time, you have also been a champion for free speach. I pointed
but this is not free speech. How is pornography free speech?
Well, if somebody,
how is pornography free speech?
If certain adults want to watch that sort of content, and if there are safeguards in place so that younger people who are impressionable cannot watch it. I would say with great respect, I would say that let them be.
So what we are saying is that there cannot be a more responsible digital space, but television must be responsible. Mainstream channels must be responsible. Basically, what you're saying is that digital arena, you're saying here, and I want to get Ranjana in, should be a dark space full of pornography, vulgar, crude content. That digital is cool, and therefore you're saying that to be dark, cool, to support. Tomorrow somebody will say, I support pedophilia. It's my own right to support pedophilia, or the depiction of rape, which often happens, or sexual activities, or sexualization of young children. As you say, the jokes about parents having sex and watching or participating in sexual activities with parents, it's all cool, it's free speech. I mean, I don't know where this will fall. Ranjana is responding to this debate. Ranjana.
Arnab, free speech is not filthy speech.
Yes.
Free speech is not transgressing the boundary of decency. Free speech is not when you are really hurting the rest of the society just for your own pleasure. Or for your popularity. So I think there is, and I have been member of the grievance redressal board of the OTT platforms, and I know that there are platforms which are only and only in the name of content, they're only selling pornography. And there are people who are really, and also very responsible people from the government, they are all totally against those kind of platforms, and we have been campaigning against that. Now, so it cannot be filthy speech. So let's not put free speech and filthy speech together. We all are votaries for free speech. But there are rules and regulations in every society. And I have a problem in saying that if some people want to watch it, let them watch it. I mean, don't we have a rule of law? Don't we have certain kind of standards and principles? Don't we have certain kind of family, society norms? Don't we have certain values in our society? I'm not talking on high moral grounds, because immediately people like us will be put in the category of people who are only talking about traditional things. No, every society, not only here. I was just at the AI Action Summit in Paris, and I've been part of many, the trust and safety bodies of Meta, Twitter, Teleperformance, many such companies, tech companies. And I can tell you that people are totally misusing this whole idea of free speech. We need to create guardrails. We need to create guardrails to protect women and children. Let me
complete. Is she going to legislate and come up with her own idea of what rules and laws and should be? If there is a rule, let it be followed. If the law says that, you know,
these are nice grades.
Child social. Now, how can children protect themselves?
No, I need to. We. 1 minute. What we need to look at here. What we need to look at here. Yeah. What we need to.
All these people, and how can they be protected?
No, what we need to.
Strong piece of law to control all this. We do need it. People don't behave, then government will have to put guardrails so that.
I want to tell you here that I think many people are very confused, including respectfully advocates. Because who are you defending? Let's say Tanushri. Who are you defending? Would you defend people who support pedophilia like Tanmay Bhatt? You know, Tanmay Bhatt, this classical case of a person who calls himself a comedian. He writes tweets laden with pedophilia. He says in a tweet, obviously aimed at getting more views and getting more attention and therefore more money, he says, how do you know children don't love rape?
See, Arnab, I would like to address, I would need 2 minutes to address this, and if you can hear me at one go without being interrupted. You see, we have to address filth. I agree with you on that, but there has to be a difference between regulation and hypocrisy. What is happening here is hypocrisy, and let me share how and why. You see, as my friend correctly pointed out, that obscenity is in law, it is defined, and free speech is also regulated within the Constitution itself. 19(1)(a) is not, free-reigned. It is regulated by 19(2). So, if Ms. Ekta Kapoor is spinning out dirt in the name of Alt Balaji, and trust me, I was one of the people who was the first and foremost to have OTTs, be in favor of them being regulated, because we don't speak that kind of language at home. But let me tell you one thing. Alt Balaji, I have an option not to watch. I have an option for it not to be played in my home. But when I step out into the courtroom or even outside your newsroom, Arnab, we as ladies are more uncomfortable with the kind of language the common man uses. I'm sure, especially in Delhi, you're very aware of and Madam would also be very aware of the colorful, women-related jargon that is used. And trust me, that is more lascivious. And let us come down to mainstream media. You said TV is regulated. Let me address that as well. I'll just take 5 seconds more. You see, obscenity is defined as something which is intended to promote and, rouse and arouse lascivious thoughts or titillate the. Now, in Allahabadia's case, obscenity doesn't stick because his content was obnoxious, it was unacceptable, it was filthy, but that mens rea, that guilty mind, that intent was absent. More than that, if you address songs like Aaj Ki Raat, Sheila Munni and all these things, if you go to mainstream cinema, they are more guilty of obscenity in mainstream and showing it to our children than anything that is optional that can ever be there. Why are people buying into such things? I also got notifications for India's Got Latent on YouTube. I didn't accept it. After a few days, YouTube stopped showing it. Why do we buy into it?
Okay, so Tanushri, I'll go to Prabloch. I just want to respond to your 2 points, and then I'll go to Prabloch so everybody is into this debate. See, I disagree with your view that if people use bad language, that is the bigger issue than filth being there on the mass medium. I would argue on the contrary, that the mass medium would have an impact on the people. And what you put out on the mass medium has a viral impact. Secondly, you have held an argument that the mens rea or the guilty mind is not there. On what basis do you say that? Because going by the physical expressions, the laugh, the common intent to cause shock value content for which there must have been a monetary compensation paid. Don't tell me Ranveer Alabadia went without money. He knows that if I enter into this space, I will be paid lakhs and crores of rupees. So if I get into putting out these kind of sex jokes about parents, I will get more invitations and I will make more money. So the mens rea is very much there. Also because as one of the biggest commercial platforms on YouTube, he knows that out of every 100 rupees that YouTube makes out of all this content, 55 rupees comes to the content creator. So if you're saying the mens rea is not there, you will have to establish that Samay Raina and Ranveer Alabadia do not know that the money is going to come to them. So the intent is very much there. I'll let Prabloch counter you. Prabloch.
Of course.
Thank you, Arnab, for getting me on the show on this very, very important subject.
Yes.
Tanushri. Now, what Tanushri says, I'd like to remind my friends who are defending the show and whatever is, all the filth that the show carries. Your right to stretch your arm ends where my nose begins. This is the basic principle that is attached to the freedom of speech. So when you talk about freedom of speech is supposed to not hurt the society in general. Your freedom is valid till the time it does not hamper my freedom. That is the basic principle. And you go back to 100 years back or more than 100 years back, many jurists have quoted this principle. This is a principle on which the freedom of speech relies upon. The second thing, Arnab, this show, Ranveer Alabadia, all these people, what are they indulging in? They are not just indulging in filth, but in the era of quick commerce, they are indulging in the quickest commerce of filth. They are making money out of this filth. It's a business model, like you rightly called out in the beginning of the show. It's a model. You indulge in filth, you indulge in vulgar language, you get more views, you earn more money, you create a controversy around it. This time, hopefully, these guys will not get away with it.
No, I'll give you one more example here. Sorry to interrupt, Prabloch. I'll give you an example about, sensitivities. Now, it is said here that in the name of free speech, people can make comments. A person called Munawwar Farooqi, who is very much celebrated by the left liberal group, says, I was watching The Burning Train on TV. My father came and told me not to watch such nonsense and turned off the channel. I was like, why so? He says, this is like the video of Godhra Kand. So he made fun of 58 men, women and children being burnt alive by a Muslim mob in the Godhra riots. Then he says that in the Godhra Kand, Hindus were burnt alive. He jokes about Hindus being burnt alive, Jay, and says, but aren't they burnt after dying? Don't they die first and then they are burnt? So, these are...
This is disgusting.
If anybody... Now, this country, Jay got very outraged about Nupur Sharma. But about Munawwar Rana, see, this whole group is... I'm just saying one thing here. Munawwar Rana, Veer Das, I don't know about Rakhi Sawant, Ranveer Alabadia, then Samar Raina, all part of the same ecosystem.
But Arnab, may I say this? They are fringe loonies, and they are rightly boycotted and ignored by the rest of the right-thinking sort of, the rest of us, who don't agree with those views. But may I say this? The gentleman who spoke before me, very respectfully, I mean, he talks about my freedom ending where his nose begins.
Yes.
But he shouldn't then bring his nose to his device, turn on YouTube, and then go and watch something.
I have a question here, Jay.
Let's be fair.
Okay, Ranjana's countering you, Jay. Ranjana's countering you. Ranjana Kumari countering Jay. Tanushri, I'll come after that. Tanushri, right after that.
Just say one thing.
This is the argument which has allowed all these platforms to go to any extent, allowing all these kind of content. This is the same thing. You're putting it on people. You're putting it on people to make choices. This is the truncated logic that if you don't want, don't buy it.
Patch directly.
Can
So
you
is
stop a
Ranjana ji
16-year-old,
going to decide
15-year-old,
who to watch? Is she now
14-year-old
the
from
new
seeing
moral
it?
police?
Can you
Is she-
stop?
is
If
she
you
the sanctimonious boss of us all who
give
determines
sleaze to
what
people,
content is
Okay,
if you are going
okay.
to
I am not clear about one thing here.
People will buy.
I'm not clear about one thing here. I'm not clear about one thing here. I run a news network, okay, and we have 1,600 people approximately working for Republic Media Network. Every morning, I speak to at least 50 to 100 people in our network. Be sure, check your facts, check the pictures. If you have disturbing pictures, morph the content. Be careful of the language. Don't even mispronounce words. There are sensitivities and so on and so forth. I just want to know, Tanushri, from your perspective, if the INB ministry can crack down on MTV roadies too, for vulgar and abusive comment, tell them to put a public apology, on-air scroll for 3 days, right? And if Hardik Pandya and KL Rahul are suspended by the BCCI for offensive comments about women on a TV show, I just want to know why digital should be different. What's the argument here? Digital also reaches people.
I would like to answer that.
Yeah, Tanushri, please.
So as I said, I would also like to respond to Prablod sir as well.
Yes.
So Prablod sir took us back 100 years. I would like to take you back 1,000 years to the Rig Ved. The Rig Ved, the Indian tradition, is based on Rita and Rin. Ma'am bhi manegi. And you'll agree, ma'am, right? And Rita is supposed to be the natural order, to let a man free his natural order, otherwise there will be chaos. Now coming to the present act you addressed, Arnab ji.
Public order, ma'am.
Now ethics are very
Public
different.
order here.
Sir,
There's a
Shanvi
difference
sir.
between natural order and public order. in a
Give me
civilized
a second to complete and then please
can go back to
I mean, I
Rigveda,
have
we can go
absolutely,
back-
I'm open to all
Sure,
input.
sure.
Ethics are different from law. Arnab ji, when ethics are there, as my friend Jay Anand said, boycott these people. We don't want such content, and I am agreeing with you. But when it turns into regulation that is prohibitory, you understand that today the government is in your favor and it works well, tomorrow it changes, and you know, the use and misuse and abuse of law, Arnab sir, Mr. Goswami, you are more aware and you know, you have suffered it more than these boys. They are obnoxious, they should be boycotted. Of course, such
True.
content is not acceptable, but for the provision for that is already there.
But
in
wouldn't the
law.
argument be
And
here,
it is-
Tanushri, I'll go to callers, a lot of callers. I would just say one thing. Wouldn't the argument be here that in order to prevent exploitation, there should be laying out of the rules? Otherwise, there would be subjective implementation depending on whether Congress or AAP or BJP is in power. So it's better we codify stuff. Vali Varman is calling in from Hyderabad on this because the MIB has stepped in, Vali. Things are changing very fast and this is a live debate. Vali, what do you think?
Yeah, hello. Can I speak in Hindi?
Yeah, you're on. You're live right now.
Yeah, yes. Good evening to everybody. But who is backing these OTT content and everything? This is completely wrong. मैं तो ये कहना चाहूंगी कि बाहर कहीं माल पे जाए तो डर लगता है, कैसे कपड़े पहन रहे हैं उनको देखना, कहीं कोई भी कुछ OTT में देखना है तो डर लग रहा है, YouTube खोलो तो डर लग रहा है, और किसी बस में या ट्रेन में जाते हैं तो पता नहीं कौन सी लड़की कपड़े उतार देगी, वो देखने के लिए डर लगता है कि कंटेंट के लिए वो कुछ भी कर रहे हैं. कहीं तो स्टॉप होना चाहिए.
होना चाहिए, Vali ji.
बिल्कुल.
It's beginning to hit people hard now. You know, there is decency. That's a good point. Vali ji, thank you for your comments. Gaurav is calling in from Delhi. I'll take one more caller right now. Gaurav, hi.
Hi Arnab, how are you?
Very well, Gaurav. Tell me.
So Arnab, I just want to make one point. I come from an industry, okay, wherein I have migrated from journalism to the content industry.
Okay.
And I have noticed one thing with these creators, okay? And that is what they do. And one of the people who has been accused, I have been in a room with them for a very long time. And one thing which I want to tell, I would not name among both, but yes, these people are agnostic off the camera when you speak to them, okay, and they don't care whether their content is being consumed by a 14-year-old or a 16-year-old. They don't care. I'm telling you this, okay? I cannot tell the name of that person, but they are so agnostic that they would tell you things off the camera which will shock them. People might arrest them. The Maharashtra government was contemplating कि क्या करना चाहिए हमें. Before leaders started speaking, before people
Yes.
like you started speaking.
No, I know, Gaurav.
Yeah.
I'm aware. But I'll also tell you they play to the gallery, Gaurav. They know that this content will get hits. That's very worrying. Any responses before I go? Ranjana ji, you want to say something here? So, there's a mass feeling about it.
I just want to say that, there are level of maturity if there are, we are talking about ourselves. But imagine a 14-year, 15-year, 16-year. So that's what Australian government did. Their parliament passed a law to ban it. Ban is not a solution. We don't support any kind of ban. But if they will extend it to this level, they will stretch it beyond a limit, then I think there has to be some kind of a guardrail, and that's what all these laws do. And we are little late on it because every platform has a community guidelines, and they check it within they have content moderators. Now they are withdrawing their content moderators.
I would like to leave you.
Yeah, Tanushree.
Letting the countries to deal with it.
Tanushree.
Yes, so Apastham 1,000 years ago said, law and regulations and ethics evolve with society. I would like to leave this gallery with a question. When we bring in regulations which are arbitrary and which give arbitrary power to the government, like it happened in the Shreya Singhal case and with Section 66 when Supreme Court had to step in, who decides what is annoying? Who decides what hurts their sentiments? आप अगर religious controversy की आपने बात की, तो meat ban होने की बात होती है. What is religious sentiment for people following vegetarianism during Navratri?
No. 1 minute. Okay, let me ask you a counter question here. Let me ask you a counter question here, Tanushree. 1 minute. Ranjana ji, I want to bring my experience of the media business to respond to her. See, I began tonight by saying, Tanushree, this is a well-planned, it's not a game, it's a well-planned operation. You put an offensive joke, you generate the backlash, you play the victim, you get media coverage, you get social media outrage, then you monetize the exposure. A comedian or this comedian with 1 million YouTube subscribers is earning anywhere between 3 to 5 lakh rupees a month from that alone. I'm not looking at, the appearances the person will have on stage, etc. So the person is wealthy. That person also knows the more abuse I do, the more I abuse parents, laugh at old people, sexualize young children, joke about rape, throw one or two about pedophilia, to use some bad words, right? More watch time, more ads are shown. My 3 to 5 lakhs will become 7 to 10 lakhs. AIB was generating crores before their shutdown. So they had gone to the limit. Right? And that's why whether it is Tanmay Bhatt or any of these people, they land major brand deals because the brands say, we don't care about the content. These guys are reaching the young people. So the media organizations will do nothing. They want to target youth engagement. So I'm just trying to say it is not creativity, Tanushree. It is a well-scheming mind. Samay Raina knows, Ranveer Alabadia knows that joke about parents having sex will fly. On that joke alone, they will make 20-30 lakh rupees. It's pure monetization. Yes.
But all I'm saying is that our current regulations have the and have the strength to have the team.
No, they don't. At the
moment,
AIB was shut down.
At the moment,
we did shut it down when we got
control. No, at the moment we don't have.
At the moment we don't have.
As I told you, at Grievance Redressal Cell, we were struggling with platforms like Ulu and many others who are doing nothing but showing women. Every woman is sex hungry, and even if some delivery boy comes, she pulls her in. All kinds of obscenity beyond imagination. I mean, I don't know how much filth is there in the
and
mind
it has an impact on society. I'm getting Murthy from Bengaluru. One caller, please. From Bengaluru, please. Jay, coming back to you. Murthy from Bengaluru, please. Murthy, hi.
We don't give such.
Murthy, hi. What do you think? Yeah.
Hi. First thing, I want to submit something.
Yes.
I am your oldest viewer. Oldest of the oldest, because more than 20 years I am viewing you.
Wow. Thank you, sir.
And really appreciate you because you put everything in black and white. Don't keep any bias.
No, sir.
That is congratulating for you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
The second is the question now. See, why when these people who are so-called these freedom of speech fighters, why they only fight when something, still against the culture, Bharatiya culture, or some society.
Right.
When it comes to other societies, they defend them immediately.
You see, Mr. Murthy, you're the experienced person, and thank you for what you said. I'll let Jay Anand Dehadrai respond to you. I think it is that people like to copy American culture, and we've got complexed about our own depth of our culture. Today, I had the great privilege. I'm on an aside, I'm saying today one of our visitors in the Republic Office was the Additional Director General of the Archaeological Survey of India, who told me about the Harappan site that they have found, which is 180 kilometers from here near Hisar, where, you have advanced Harappan culture of 2,500 years old with Vedic roots. But yet, problem is that we keep copying the Americans who, I'm sorry, have no history. Don't you think so, Jay? I mean, this is a more cultural question he's raised here. And we need to be sure this doesn't work in India. So you will have rules for India. China will have rules about China.
Very true, very true. There have to be, it has to be context-specific rules. I completely agree with you. But if I may just respond for a moment to what Ranjana ji said, and she said that there aren't any teeth in the law, I would invite her attention to Section 67 of the IT Act. It's got enough teeth. You can take action against intermediaries. You can take action against the proprietors of these intermediary companies, and there is enough ammo there to take action. But coming back to your point, Arnab, look, ultimately the market is going to decide. And I really agree with what you said. What you said is very interesting. You said, to make cheap, prurient content will get you the eyeballs, but it's a lot harder to make high quality, really high quality content. It's difficult to crack an intelligent joke, but it's very easy to crack an incest-laden joke. So this is what these guys
Correct.
do.
You just need to see. You need to see the quality of humor in American television and the quality of humor that people like Tanmay and Veer Das and Ranveer Alavadia put out.
And even British television.
Even British humor, absolutely.
Humor. There are great jokes that are cracked. There's a lot of innuendo that is sort of woven into those jokes, but they aren't as crass. These are just crass. And you were reading out a laundry list of the sort of nonsense that Samay Raina spews on his show. I wanted to just remind you, Arnab, he's even cracked jokes about disabled people.
They have.
And cracking a joke with a disabled person.
So it's not cool.
It's not cool.
We have the rules. We need to implement them without being afraid. I have to close at this point, but I thank you there. We are raising the bar on the discussion. My view is you have got the Young Persons Harmful Publication Act, you got the Cinematograph Act, you got the Cable Television Regulations Act, you got the Indecent Representation of Women's Act, you got IPC on obscene materials, you got Article 19(2), you got everything, but you need to implement it. You need to have implemented.